everyone, Carmine here. Now, I play a lot of different games of all types. One thing I've noticed is that some games don't get the attention they really deserve for one reason or another. Maybe they were a bit buggy on launch, or just were released to a niche audience, or didn't really get the marketing push they should have had. So I've come up with a list of 5 different games that you should definitely play. Now, a couple of quick disclaimers. First, while some of these do have reviews on my site, I'm not going to include the recommended age for them. If I have a written review for them, I'll link it in the description along with any other relevant information. Second, this is not a comprehensive list. It's just 5 games I love that I think you will too. Now that's over, let's begin. Even after his death, Tom Clancy's name lives on in a myriad of different video games. But what continues to surprise me is how varied the Tom Clancy games can be. The Rainbow Six series is a class of first-person shooter unlike any other I've played. Rainbow Six Vegas 2 is a game where being slow and methodical is the key, not because this is a stealth game, but because you need to make your shots count. It takes the tactical elements usually seen in turn-based games and applies them to a squad-based first-person setting. It's unrealistic enough that you can make mistakes and recover, but difficult enough that you can't just run in guns blazing and expect to last more than a second or two. Rainbow Six Siege is heavily based off of Vegas' mechanics, so if you want to see what Siege would be like with a single-player campaign and more varied sets of maps, this is an excellent place to look. Both Vegas 1 and 2 are split-screen compatible throughout the entire campaign and the terrorist hunt missions, but the reason I recommend the sequel is because the cooperative and customization features of the second game were much more refined. If you play the first cooperatively, none of the dialogue plays, so you'll go through the campaign missions but not have any context for the game. That was fixed in the second one. Harken back with me to an era of gaming where widescreen wasn't standard and calling it the Xbox One would have brought confusion since there was only one Xbox. Stubbs the Zombie is a title made for the original Xbox using the same engine as Halo Combat Evolved. That's one of the reasons you see the black bars on the side there. That's how this game is played. In this game, you play as Stubbs, the source of the zombie outbreak in a utopian futuristic 50s world. Most zombie games have you killing the undead, but this game has you eating brains, creating the zombie horde as you nom your way through the city. This game does have a plot, although I'd rather not say what it is since that's part of the fun, and is designed to be morbidly comedic. It's actually pretty funny. There are only 2 major downsides to it. First, it's out of print, which makes it very difficult to find. Copies start on Amazon for over $30, which for a game that's almost 11 years old now, that's pretty ridiculous. However, even now I can say with relative confidence this is one of the few games still worth its full price despite its age. Second, it hasn't received the HD remaster it absolutely deserves, which is part of the reason it's so expensive and difficult to find. Unfortunately, that means if you do find a copy, you'll need an original Xbox or Xbox 360 to run it. This video was captured from my Xbox 360, which runs it without any problems. There is a PC version, but I can't say whether that works with the latest Windows operating systems, nor what you'll need to get it running in the first place. However, if you can get the game to play and a 360 to play it on, you're in for a treat. And to top it all off, it is split screen compatible. So if you have a friend that wants to play as Grubbs the Zombie, you can both enjoy eating brains together. Disney and I do not get along very well. They have a habit of squandering great ideas when those ideas don't make as much money as High School Musical or Frozen. Split Second is an unfortunate casualty of this profit-first mentality. It is an excellent kart racing game with a unique hook. Now, racing games similar to this one usually have the player directly attacking opponents with power-ups and abilities. I'm specifically referring to Mario Kart and a few of the more recent Need for Speeds, but Split Second's creators decided to go a different route. Instead, the player uses the environment to wreck other racers. The player can trigger Michael Bay-styled explosions that throw debris onto the track and create punishingly strong physics forces in an attempt to wreck opponents. And the AI opponents can do the same to you, which makes being in first place a nerve-wracking experience. On top of that, Split Second is the only racing game I've played to feature player-triggered levolution. If you store up enough energy, you can trigger massive track-changing events that can quickly propel you from last to first. It's a clean, fun, innovative racing game, and when I think of the best racing games I've played, it's always high on the list. Army of Two is one of those games that's kind of a mixed bag. It was released around the same time as Gears of War, but was unfortunately not nearly as smooth. I hated the cover system, and there were certain elements and mechanics that were improved in later installments. However, despite the mechanical improvements in the later games, the first is still the best. This tops the list of broliest bro games. You play as either Rios or Salem, a pair of mercenaries who sign up with a private military corporation. In this story, PMCs are far more efficient and effective than national militaries, an idea which, while far-fetched in today's world, isn't completely out of the realm of possibilities. Army of Two's story considers the benefits of replacing the national military with a private military corporation, but also looks into the pitfalls of such a system. It has a cool progression system, ridiculous weapon customizations, and is significantly better when played with a friend. Occasionally, I'm asked what my favorite game is. It's a really difficult question to answer. I've played over 1,000 different games so far, and that number increases every week. But Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines is always on my shortlist. It's a first-person shooter RPG set in a dark version of Los Angeles and uses one of the original versions of the Source engine, back before Half-Life 2 even came out. You take the role of a fledgling vampire thrown into a society with rules and laws, some of which are enforced with deadly force. Vampires rule the city but don't want humans to know. This game features great characters, a progression and stat system just like one would expect from an RPG, and a story-first approach to the game. Not only that, but the developers went all out to make sure this game was replayable. A few of the 6 different species you can pick have certain twists that can wildly change the game. For example, the Malkavians are completely crazy but a bit psychic. So if you play as a Malkavian, you'll get an entirely new set of dialogue for the whole game, including segments where your character says exactly how things are going to play out or what the motivations of other characters are, but no one around you gets what you're saying because it hasn't happened yet. The Nosferatu are so disfigured that they can't be seen by humans without blowing the cover of the vampire society, so you get an entirely different introduction and set of rules that you have to obey. This game is still available on Steam and these days runs dirt cheap during the Riot sale. Unfortunately, its release was marred by bugs. However, don't fret, because the dedicated fan community continues to release patches for the game, fixing bugs and reintroducing cut content. If you decide to try this game, I would consider the unofficial patches a requirement in order to get the game to work. If you like this list and want to see more, or if you have suggestions for games that should be on another list like this, or if you've played one of these games and want to voice your opinion, please say something in the comments. Alright, thanks everyone.